to the new video for the studio. This will be all in all a multiple episode course on how to get started on After Effects. We're starting with the absolute basics for the first tutorial. So we have a project in After Effects. In this video we're going to focus on the 3 fundamentals, and this will help you really get a grasp of what we're going to be and how we're going to be moving forward in future videos. Okay, so you've got After Effects open. You wanna start your project. So the first thing you do is click New Composition, and first of all we'll name it the Fundamentals. So for your size, if you want it to be for a YouTube video, you want these dimensions: 920 landscape and 1080 pixels vertically. But if you want for an Instagram post, this will make it square. But that's not what we're going to be doing for this video. We're going to stick with 1920 by 1080p. Make sure it's square pixels. We're going to set our time frame to 10 seconds. And resolution to full. We'll be able to change that later, so don't worry about that. And 30 frames per second, which, depending on your project, your type of project, you'll have to switch later, and stuff like that. But we'll cover that in another video. I just recommend following all these basic settings. Okay, first of all, I'm going to show you how to maneuver across After Effects. So this thing here, this low thing here, I can make it smaller, I can make it bigger. This thing here is called your timeline. So this red line is a marker of where which point in time you're viewing. And this square, which shows it's basically a preview of what you've been editing. Okay, this here has just been highlighted in red. This is where your files are, and you can also, if you click on here, it shows the effects of the object that you're using at that point in time. So these are your tools, or at least that's what I call them. It's basically what you'd use. So this is a pen, text, a brush, stamp. I've never used that. A rubber, eraser, roto brush, which we'll get into in the future. Pins, also get that in the future. Well, basically we'll cover all this in a future video. So the one we're focusing on now is the rectangle tool. If you hold on it, you can get a bunch of other options. But we're going to stick with the rectangle tool. Here you can choose the color of your rectangle, and we're going to put it as let's say a pale mustard yellow. Okay, so we've got our options set for our square or rectangle. Now we want to put that in our timeline, and so it will be displayed on our viewport. So as you can see, my cursor changes when it's hovering over our viewport. So now I'm going to hold, drag it across the viewport, and try to make it as perfect as I can. Don't worry about centering it, you don't have to. And now I have my square. You can edit it afterwards. So let's say I have my stroke, which is the outline of your shape, set to white. And if I put the pixels higher, you can see that the stroke goes bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're going to change our stroke to a darker yellow, almost like this, nearly an orange, and make it about, let's say, 21 pixels. I think that looks nice. So the thing you might be noticing is it's not in center, and we can fix that. So the first thing you want to do to align it to a step to align it in center. So we want it around in the center. So let's say I just had it here. There is a shortcut you can use to do it very quickly, and that is by, there we go. Press Command or Control on your keyboard, whichever uh, you use. I use a Mac, so for me it's Command, but if you're a Windows user, you press Control, press Command, and click on this icon here twice, and it should automatically be in center. Okay. So, now, it's still not in center. So you'll see here that you have a bunch of options which we'll customize later on. Effects, presets, some other stuff that most of them aren't very important. We're going to click on Align and make sure this setting is on, Align to Composition, then press Align Horizontally and Align Vertically. Square is now in center. Okay, so here comes the important part. That was all just fiddling around. So we're going to drag our workspace, which you can do by holding on this thing and dragging it across. We're going to make our project about 3 seconds. So that's basically how that works. So now we want the values. Okay, so the 3 core values in my opinion are S for scale, P for position, which we covered a bit earlier, and R, rotation. So we want our scale value to zoom in to make the square big, and towards the end zoom out. So how we're going to do that is click this timer button, and you'll notice mountain icons, we have a diamond here, and the diamond represents a point in time. So if we click on that diamond and make another one here by pressing the diamond button, we now have 2 diamonds, and you'll notice that hasn't done anything yet. It's exactly the same. So we need to hover over one of them and change the value. So let's go to the first one, like I've done here. Hover over it with your line, and then raise the value to about, let's say, 150. So now, if we play the animation through, the square is large, then it slowly, very slowly, gets smaller and smaller. So that's our first value done. Now, we want to add rotation to our scene. Press Shift P, which will add it on, which will add the position value onto it. So now we press the stopwatch, make another diamond, which is called a keyframe. Here, go to the front and change the value to wherever you want. I'm just gonna say, let's say 1450. There we go. So now we've got it where we want it to be. So you notice, while it's at the same time that it's scaling in and out, it's also moving from the right side to the center. Rotation. So we want it to rotate as it goes out. Do the same thing we did before. Shift R to open up rotation. So we have, if you know anything about mathematics, this will be a lot easier for you. Rotation, and this is determined by degrees. So if we rotate it 90 degrees, it will look exactly the same because it's rotated a quarter. Okay, so we're going to put that back to 0 by pressing Command Z, because just to go backwards. Second keyframe this time, and change the rotation value to 85. So you'll see as we go back from the clip, it starts as it would have, then it goes back to where it was, then then it goes slowly towards the center while rotating and moving and changing its size. Okay, so now you know the basics, you know the 3 steps of motion. So now we want to make it look a little more interesting. It's not very smooth at all. So the way we're going to change that very quickly is by holding down, is by dragging across all those keyframes and pressing F9 on our keyboard. And this, you may notice, will make it a lot smoother. So here's what it was like without, and here's what it's like with the new animation. It's a lot smoother, so I'll show you now what this does. What we just did when we pressed F9 is we easy eased the keyframes, which means it slowly starts. It starts very slowly, all those values, and then it slowly goes up in sort of a hill shape, and then it slows down again. So the higher it is, basically, the faster it will be going. So you can see, it goes up fast, and it slows down again. So there. Those are the 3 steps of motion. Okay. So now we've learned the 3 steps of motion. It's the best thing you can do. Like, practice these sort of things is the best thing you can do to basically just learn the basics. I recommend practicing this on different scenes at least 3 times. Or, you know, if you're feeling confident, just skip to the next tutorial. But yeah, thanks for watching. The next episode will be on graph editing, which is, we had a little bit of it there, but we didn't really edit the graph in any way. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.